And getting that footwork, we have this movement, which helps us get that center line. But also, this is useful as a block. In some Wing Chun systems, the feet are very straight, and some they point in a little, and some people do this, and some people really go down. What's the right way? Don't overthink it. The right way is to let go and be loose, right? So if I need to, I can go down, up, around. If I need to be tall, I can be tall. If I need to be short, if I need to block my nuts from a kick. The point is to sink that gravity down so that you can go 1 foot, 2 foot. You can go this way, that way. If you want to sink low, sink low. If you want to stand high, stand high. What's comfortable for you is the point. The point is winning and being relaxed. If you're not relaxed, I've been practicing for 20 years. I love standing really pointed in. I walk on logs like that out in the bush. But do I need to be like that to engage in a fight? If my Wing Chun's good, any direction, any way I am, should be ready to go. Very small changes in my feet. I come from Ip Man lineage, which is the simplest of the Wing Chun forms, if you ask me. But I make my Wing Chun my own. I make my Silam Tao my own. So I add things and subtract things as I want to. I look at other people's Silam Taos and I think, hey, I'll do that for a while. That seems like an interesting thing to do. I'm not married to the system. The core principles stay the same. That's what's important. The little idea is the big idea in Silam Tao. Silam Tao means a little idea form. The little idea is your stance. First of all, that's where everything comes from. So that's the thing that all Wing Chun systems are going to agree on, essentially, is the opening and where punches come from. Out of that, you can have a lot of different variations. Does it really matter? Well, I'll add some sometimes to my own Silam Tao. Ip Man system, your punch comes out, Tan Sao, Hyun Sao, and back in. But I'll add, because I've seen in other systems and later on in later forms of Wing Chun, I'll add punch, tan, and when I come back around, I'll use asking fingers. That's my own variation. I don't always do it. Sometimes I'll go very slow. Ip Man would be very slow in his Silam Tao, and then I'll feel where all those joints and muscles come into line up properly. And I'll go very slow, slower than this, slower than this. Some systems say very slow is good. Sometimes I'll do it fast just to practice going fast. I'll go both ways. I think slow is good for internal development though. Slower the better. Sometimes I'll add, in the Ip Man system, this is supposed to be fast. But sometimes at the very end, because I like what other systems do, I'll add a back fist. That's not in Ip Man. Do you want to add more to your Wing Chun? You can. Do you want to keep it simple? The goal should always be simple, right? But other things I do sometimes, when I go my Tan Saos and my Silam Tao, I'll come right down the middle, right? And sometimes I'll sweep. Own variations. It doesn't matter how it's supposed to be done. It matters that you can do it both ways if you need to. But I learned first the simplest way, slow, easy, relaxed, fewest movements. And I think that's the point of Silam Tao. And once you've been doing it for a long time, you may want to add shifts into it for your own sake. Don't be married to the system. Be married to the core idea of the system. When I'm in my regular Wing Chun stance, and if I lose my gravity, my inclination is to put this hand down in order to distribute my weight and balance. So what I do like about more of a mantis style is when I have to reposition my gravity, instead of that hand wanting to come down, there's much more of a tendency for that hand to want to come up, where it's still very useful to me. But in both cases, if you manage to actually push me, no matter what I do, if I'm in either stance, the end result could be that you lose your eyes. And the mantis hands are asking hands, right? So they help me feel out. I find when I spar with someone and I'm really centered, they don't know what to do. And it's a lot more of me just trying to keep them square so that they can't do anything. And it kind of takes the fun out of it for me because I need to invite them in so that I can do something. So in sparring, I either may leave an open stance, which of course I'll close again really quickly, but that at least invites them in more, makes them think that there's a line in. Or I may use these more, the asking hands, and try to just make contact, right? And then once I have contact, I can feel where I want to send you. The main point being that these things on our hands, these areas are sensitive, and that's how we're going to feel what our opponent's doing when we make contact with them. So we want to be heavy with that hand stick, so that no matter where their arm's going, I have it. That's what sticky hands can give us, right? That ability to control the arms. I was learning Sistema with Valley 15 years ago, and of course doing it as a Wing Chun person, I found that Sistema had a lot of great things to offer. The pushing games, of course, I had to be careful not to poke anyone's eyes out, so that was one thing. Valley was really good. There's 3 people pushing me, and I just knew I couldn't let him touch me, so I made sure to keep him here, and then I dealt with the others as I saw fit. And occasionally I'd touch them and block them, but occasionally I'd face them and touch them, but always re-centering back on Valley because he was the best. And then after he asked me, what was that you're doing? I said, it's Wing Chun. So Sistema's got really good pushing concepts. I love starting and training people with those pushing games, being loose and recovering. And that helps us fling energy out of anywhere that it's sent to us. However, the core concept that Sistema lacks is the center line, and that when we control that center line, we control you. Nothing comes any faster than down that center. But certainly if you train with me, some of the stuff is going to look like Sistema and going to feel like it. And those experiences of training with Valley are why when people are just overplaying and they don't really know Wing Chun, I tend to do those kinds of games with them. And then I try to use my Wing Chun in those games successfully. But it's feeling how to be loose is what that Sistema concept gives us of when you get pushed, allowing some of that energy to come into you and then using it. Well, that's a fundamental part of Wing Chun. You can marry those systems a little bit there and use some of that Sistema training. The pushing games are very good, but I still think that the Chi Sao game of you and me playing together and rolling hands and feeling each other's energy is ultimately where we're going to develop that real sensitivity and real control of the center line. So that's something that Wing Chun gives us, and no other system gives the way that Chi Sao in Wing Chun is kind of like the sticking hands in Tai Chi, but more aggressive. So for lack of Wing Chun people, I've found Tai Chi people who are very good. I have a friend in Prince George, for example. He's an older fella, and he's quite good. and he enjoys being playing sticky hands, and he enjoys being hard when he needs to be hard. So and he's very, very centered. So I enjoy touching hands with Tai Chi people for lack of Wing Chun people around. But ultimately, I require someone who can come here and learn how to play Chi Sao with me if I can't find a Wing Chun guy to come show up and do it. So ultimately, I need to teach you how to play this game so that I can play it with someone so that I can get better. So that's the greedy reason why I want to train somebody or multiples of people here in Wells. I didn't show this yesterday. In Ip Man's system, actually, in your Silam Tao, Bong Sao to Tan Sao, and then there's a palm strike up, and then you can add that next palm strike. So what is that for? That's in your wooden dummy technique, you see these blocks like this, arms coming in, and gives you the chance to deflect the arm up. And Ip Man was a big fan of the palm strikes. One of his quotes I find really interesting is he said once, "One punch too many," which is sort of like if you find yourself unloading a Wing Chun punch with power at somebody and they're still standing, then your best bet is to start running. But also, one punch too many can also be interpreted as you don't need to hit the face. A lot of the momentum, because they're going to attack your face in Wing Chun, is going to force you to come back at theirs. The palm is a little nicer of a way to send that energy back as opposed to just squaring up and using the fist. But also those palm strikes can give internal damage to organs as well. And that is a known thing amongst Wing Chun hits, to actually target core organs in the human body, right? So Wing Chun's particularly dirty, they say. It's for self-defense. Wing Chun's not meant for a ring. It's not meant for padded walls. It's meant for a tight, you're in a bathroom with hard objects around you. You're on an uneven street. You're in between cars. It's meant for that close quarter situation where you're going to be very close and you're going to have to use explosive power. So that means if you're given a chance to hit an internal organ, it's just built into our system that those are some of the motions that are going to come out, which means you're going to have soft targets like throats and eyes and groins get hit by a natural extension of the way Wing Chun moves. A great example is that video of Karate Guy versus Wing Chun Guy on YouTube, and Karate Guy's jumping all around trying to get, and Wing Chun Guy just keeps him square. And this goes on for 45 seconds until Karate Guy's getting upset. So then Karate Guy gives one of these, and Wing Chun Guy, he just sticks out his foot, and Karate Guy sacks himself, and down he goes. And like, well, you just ran into my foot. So I'm doing very little. All he had to do was stick his foot out, and Guy runs into his foot, fight's over. He's on the ground. It's like, well, you didn't kick him in the groin. Dude ran into my foot. So in tournament rules, that was allowed because all the guy did was stick out his foot, and Guy spun around right into it. And that just shows the inefficiency of jumping all around, the inefficiency of going, yeah, the inefficiency of tension in your body, the inefficiency of being offline. And all Wing Chun cares about is efficiency. Simple, soft, direct. So you always want to have the maximum effect for the least amount of energy expended, right? So one thing I've been thinking about a lot lately is, where does power come from? And when I watch these videos and people are making those hush sounds in karate and kia, to me it seems like a waste of energy. I know you can draw some extra power by aligning those things, but I'm just fine whether I'm in the middle of a breath, exhaling, to have the same energy release. I can maybe add a little more with a breath. I can add a little more by sinking into the ground and making a very solid object. But the power doesn't come from the ground. The power doesn't come from my breath. The power doesn't come from saying kia. The power comes from me. So power is conceptual, and by being loose and soft and having our movements correct in the sense that I know where my center line is every time. I know how my hits are going to come out of there. I'm relaxed. From relaxation comes speed, right? From tension, you can only throw so hard, but under relaxation, I can throw extremely fast. And it's that relaxation that we are going to draw on to send that power. You are the vessel in which power flows through. Without you, there is only a floor. No power exists. Sure, you can borrow from that floor, you can borrow from gravity, you can borrow from momentum, but you are the ultimate reason that energy is being transferred. It comes from you. So that's something tangible. It's not just chi or mental. I'm talking about something that's tangible in the sense that it's measurable and its effect is demonstrable. One of the things I'm able to find myself doing is making more of me than there is with power and with energy, right? Being heavy. So when I put my arm on you, you're like, holy, there's 100 pounds on me. And then you go to move and I'm not there. So there's a relaxation, but a heaviness that comes out of that relaxation. And out of that relaxation comes explosiveness. But also, out of correct technique, that relaxation can be used at its most proper, right? And that technique being the mechanics of the human body, how the best transfer of energy can be moved through the human body. There is actually mathematical proof that certain angles are weak and certain angles are strong. And certain angles are weak when you hit with these knuckles, but certain angles are strong. When I hit with that, it's like getting hit with a sledgehammer. So that's why we practice Silam Tao, and we do it so slowly that you feel that it's not the hand driving the engine, that it's the elbow that's pushing. So my proper technique comes from my joints, not from my hand. I'm not throwing my hand. I'm moving my joints all together mechanically at the same time. And from that, I can find myself using great force. I like what Sifu John Kaufman, who teaches in Hong Kong, says. He uses this example, and what he does is he exerts force intentionally by moving all the gears in his body. And I don't know how to explain that, but I know when I go to open, say, the heavy sliding door, and I just go, whew, and it slides open. A door that's very hard to physically open, somehow I do the math in my brain. It's like everything moved together, everything at once. And I find energy that's not there and power that's not there. So there's something in the simplicity of going so slow. And last time when I did my Silam Tao, I spent like 6 minutes on this section. It's not enough. Just 6 minutes going slow out. So slow. 6 minutes of going slow out. Feeling while I'm wrong. Making it better. 6 minutes of that slowness to feel every time how that elbow is a driving force. How my knees and joints are working together to create force. To create strength. To create strength that I don't have. To borrow strength from my positioning. I'll talk tomorrow about the rule of 45s, I call it. It's a good example. That 45-degree angles are very, so we have 45 from here to here, are very strong. When you build a house and you make rafters, you make 45-degree angles. When I point my knees in and my stance are at 45s, my toes are in at 45s. And you can try this, take this sort of mantis stance and go and push against something hard like the wall. And so try it like this first, and you'll find that you have no strength. You'll just collapse your arm. If you try it like this, you'll have very little strength. But when you're at that 45 and you push, you just can't bend that arm. No matter how strong someone is, they can't bend that 45 degree. So these are natural shapes within the human body that we can use to our advantage. And that 45-degree one is a huge one in Wing Chun. I don't hear people talk about it much in that regard, the rule of 45. It's kind of my own thing, but I see it again and again and again in the system, in the blocks, in the hits, where those angles lie. So good positioning, soft energy, proper direction, proper use of our mechanics, proper use of the way our joints move, proper use of the ground, proper use of our breath, proper use of sending of energy, proper use of intention, proper use of your body being the channel that's going to send back everything being given to it.